Hello, this is Jay Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have a reminder, Trump doubles down on death penalty for drug dealers from thehill.com by CH4Locks, and yeah, I personally am against the death penalty. I don't think the state should be killing people. But ultimately, if the state wants to kill people for any reason, it is often going to be able to do so, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. I personally don't think we should have death penalty for anyone, but if Trump wants to say, oh, we should have death penalty for drug dealers and wants to enact that, ultimately, that's, the state can justify doing whatever it wants to, and that's personally why I'm not, one of the reasons why I'm not going to go for him. I personally don't think he'll do it. He says a lot of stuff that he doesn't plan on doing, but I still don't think it's that libertarian of rhetoric. Then we have police say fire set at ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington are connected. Suspect vehicle ID'd from APnews.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And yeah, this is, I think, a big reason why you probably shouldn't have ballot boxes. They're inherently going to be targeted by bad actors. Now, I personally don't know if this person was either in group or out group, if they were like a hard MAGA person or a woke Free Palestine person. But, I don't think it really matters. I think it's a good argument for why we shouldn't even have drop boxes in the first place. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have advisors propose that Trump gives security clearances without FBI vetting from nytimes.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And I personally don't think that's very good. But with that being said, the FBI isn't that libertarian at all. If he wants to justify what he wants to justify, that's on him, not me. I personally don't care for the FBI. I would get rid of the FBI entirely. And I would argue even get rid of security clearances entirely. Let everyone see what anyone wants to see. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump shock comic Tony Hinchcliffe was set to call Harris a C*NT. Staffer asked Hinchcliffe to strike it from thebulwark.com by Legio-X, and that's cross-sourced from the In the News subreddit. And yeah, I personally think, civility and politics is clearly dead. I think if he wanted to say it, he should have been able to say it. But, if the staffer did ask him to strike it and he did, I guess, that's on them. And I guess, if he still wanted to say it, I still think he should have been able to say it, though. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have MAGA Hothead tries to intimidate interviewer for knowing what he's talking about from Ragnar OKXD, and that's cross-post from the Public Freakout subreddit. And that looks like they're arguing about whether if Kamala Harris is a communist or not. And I would say they're both pretty much communist. In some ways, Harris has more communistic tendencies than Trump. In other ways, Trump has more communistic tendencies than Harris. But I think regardless, I think the American people are going to get screwed over by authoritarianism regardless. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Gadsden Flag Hate by O.R. Show No, and they said, I've noticed a rise in Gadsden Flag Hate from the left recently on Threads/X/Twitter and other social media recently. I'm genuinely curious why there's so much hate for a historic flag that represents respecting individual liberty. Am I missing something? And, I think that's mostly because of the people that fly the Gadsden flag, next to the thin blue line flag. It's mostly seen as being a right-coded flag, and that's why the left is going to hate it by association. But with that being said, the left is pretty much openly saying, screw your freedoms, just obey authority. And that's, I think, another reason as well why they don't like it. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Michael Heiss, Mises Caucus founder, endorses Trump. And that's the tweet that, from Dissident Media, a link to a story of why I'm voting for Trump by Michael Heiss, CEO, published on October 27th, 2024. And he goes over a few paragraphs. Let's see. It's a few paragraphs, I'm not going to read all of it, but yeah, I can see, justification for voting for Trump. Anyway, this was by the way, this was by a quick extra 9. They added, "Don't surprise, get these fucks out of their party. They're not libertarian." But regardless, I can see a justification voting for Trump as the lesser of two evils. And he does have some libertarian rhetoric, like no taxes on tips and all that. But personally, I think it's not worth it. We've already had him as president. Fool me once, shame on me. You fool me twice, shame on me. He's just gonna let the same neocons run the country they did left during his first term, despite promising people like Elon and RFK this term. And yeah, I don't think anything will change. He only really knows how to do two things: jerk himself off and rile everyone up. And all the meanwhile, the same deep state actors will be running the country as if it were a Kamala presidency. So that's why I really don't think the election matters too much. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Glenn Russell, Mises VP nominee, announces his support for Trump and that's a tweet from him by Batom13, and that's a cross-source from the Libertarian Party USA subreddit. And yeah, we personally talked about it with Michael Heiss, but yeah, I would say the same things. If you want to go for Trump as lesser of two evils, or fine, but don't expect him to really change anything. He had 4 years to change the vote to everything, and he really didn't, despite what people might have you believe. And that's my thought on that issue. In some ways, Kamala will stab you in the front, while Trump will stab you in the back. Some people might think it's the other way around, but I think the more libertarian perspective is that Trump's more the stabby in the back candidate, while Kamala's more the stabby in the front candidate. But regardless, but both of them will screw you over. That's why you can't really trust either of them. Then we have Supreme Court rejects push to remove Robert F. Kennedy from ballot in 2 swing states. Original title from Ground News by Dr. Who 07. And yeah, I personally think if he wants to be removed from the ballot, I think he should be able to. With that being said, if the government says otherwise, I guess that's on they have the ability to keep and remove whoever they want from the ballot. So yeah, ultimately, I think if he wanted to be removed from ballot, I think he should be able to. But sometimes the government will say otherwise, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And we have anyone that's power hungry should never be near the Oval Office from helpful feeding. And they posted this twice. I'm only going to go over it once, but it's a crossword from the r/People's subreddit from a tweet from Camel HQ. Trump dictators are smart people. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Rogan, but dictators are evil and dangerous. Trump, actually, we have evil people in our country. And this might be taken out of context, but regardless, I definitely don't think the Orange Man is that libertarian because he keeps making statements like this, and I don't think he does have a lot of authoritarian rhetoric. But that being said, just because Orange Man bad doesn't make Netflix reboot Hillary good. And I wish they could both lose the election. But ultimately, I don't think it really matters. One of them's going to win, and life will keep carrying on, and the government will keep oppressing our freedoms regardless. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have a Texas woman died after the hospital said it would be a crime to intervene in her miscarriage from TexasTribune.org by FlimsyOut5563. And yeah, I personally don't think that's very good, but with that being said, this is more just pro-abortion propaganda, I would say. I'm personally more on the pro-choice side, but increasingly, this was back during even Roe v. Wade, before Roe v. Wade was built, it was in 2021. And, I personally more on the pro-choice side, but, these days, if you're not pro-abortion, increasingly you're not allowed to dissent at all from the official narrative there. I personally think Roe v. Wade was I think, it wasn't perfect, but I personally would prefer it to what we have currently. But with that being said, I do think states' rights are important as well, but I think individual rights are arguably more important, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Harris strongly disagrees with criticism of people based on who they vote for after Biden's garbage comment. Original title from CBSNews.com by Dr. Who 07. And yeah, that's how Biden said, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. That's what Biden said during a speech in reply to the Tony Hinchcliffe's comment saying, Puerto Rico is an island of garbage. But yeah, I think if you want to call anyone garbage, you should be able to. But don't be surprised if they call you out. It's like when Hillary Clinton calls from supporters a basket of deplorables. That's why a big reason why she lost the election. And this might be Joe Biden being kind of bitter that Kamala replaced his nominee and trying to throw the election for Kamala. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Then we have Trump already claiming voter fraud receives first verified fraudulent vote of the election from independentco.uk by Donald Key, and that's crosswords from the Leopards Ate My Face subreddit. And yeah, I personally think this, people only care about election fraud when it's the out group doing it. I bet you, if someone posted the election fraud with the in group doing it, will be downvoted or removed from this subreddit. But with that being said, I definitely think this is a big reason why we should have open ballot rather than secret ballot, because secret ballot is personally too ripe for fraud, I think. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Nelson County man acquitted of voter fraud. He said he only wanted to test security from cardinalnews.org by CH4Locks, and that's crosswords from the Not the Onion subreddit. And yeah, I personally think it's, this story's only popular because he's a member of the out group rather than the in group. But think about however you want to. And then I wanted to share another story that I couldn't post to the subreddit that because I'm currently banned, but it's busted, the inside story of how the Kamala Harris campaign manipulates Reddit and breaks the rules to control the platform from the Federalists. And I posted that to the anarcho-capitalism subreddit, but so I couldn't post it to the Libertarian Censored subreddit since they banned me a while ago. But yeah, it definitely goes to show you how increasingly social media is astroturfed for when it comes to politics, and Reddit's definitely just, it's kind of sad for me, really sad what happened to this website. It used to be all about signing up to the establishment, but now it's pretty much nothing but an astroturfed DNC propaganda hellhole, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And also, I have another tweet I wanted to share. It's a tweet I made a few days ago. I'm sympathetic to this man and his movement, but it's important to remember how he's much more one of them than one of us, and that's a meme of Donald Trump I posted. I found it on my Libertarian Party State Signal group. It says, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. Albert Pike, 33rd degree Freemason. And it's Trump with red eyes in a photo. And yeah, Trump may seem like he's good, but and he definitely has an argument as being lesser of two evils. But he's definitely more on their side than he is ours, I would say. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.